We've used shower heads to deliver poison gas, letters with anthrax, passenger planes as weapons, rape as a military strategy. We are a miserably violent species. But there's two problems with that, at least. The first one is we don't hate violence. We hate the wrong kind of violence. When it's the right kind, we get all excited, we leap in to see it, we hand out medals, we disproportionately vote for, mate with the people who are best at that. When it's the right kind of violence, we love it. What would I do if I had had Hitler? And if I let myself go there, it wasn't actually hard to think about it. Sever his spine at the neck, take out his eyes, puncture his eardrum, cut out his tongue, inject him with some sort of cancer that would just pustulate in every cell in his body. I had this fantasy at various points when I was a kid, and sometimes I still do. My heart beats faster, and my breathing gets faster. All this planning for the most evil human in all of history, the soul most deserving of damage, of punishment. Except I have a problem with that, which is I don't believe in souls, and I don't believe in evil, and I don't believe in punishment. I think Wicked only belongs in the title of a musical. I'm your basic confused human when it comes to feelings about violence.
We have these myths that have been promulgated in this culture to the extent that almost everybody believes them now. That humans are actually superior. We call the other animals lesser animals or lower animals. That we can actually have infinite growth on a finite planet. It's ridiculous when you put it like that, isn't it? The myth that more is better, more of what? More of everything. That's all we need. That's all we really need is more. More. We have monetized the food, we have monetized the water, we have monetized the air. Since civilizations arose on the planet, have we been able to monetize the food, to lock up the food? Same for the water, same for the air. In Beijing, a can of clean air costs 85 cents American per breath. We have been told to think positive, that hope is unimpeachably good. I'm with Nietzsche on this one. Hope in reality is the worst of evils, for it extends the torments of man. And had he not been such a misogynist, Nietzsche might have included women in there too. Hope is wishing for an outcome in a situation where we have no agency. Hope is wishful thinking. But we've been told repeatedly that without hope, there's no reason to live. I think hope is ludicrous myself. When we actually look at the definition, like looking at the definition of radical, once we get to the point that we understand the language, we can understand how hope might not be unimpeachably good, that thinking positive might not be the only way to create a positive outcome. This civilization, like all others, is characterized by endemic racism, endemic misogyny, witness the quote from Nietzsche, and endemic monetary disparity leading to poverty. Then, money came into existence with the advent of civilization. And once we took that path, we could then determine that some people get more money than others and have more power than others. These are all outcomes of the culture that we believe, for the most part, to be as unimpeachably good as hope. The anarchist pointed out that all civilized activity becomes one huge lie. We become accustomed to it, and ultimately hypocrisy and sophistry become the second nature of the civilized man. Notice the misogyny even there. Kropotkin is pointing out that the way to pronounce the word is civilization. Civilization depends upon built-in lies, inherent assumptions that we all more or less agree to without even having the conversation. We don't have a conversation. The set of living arrangements is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves, but we don't ever talk about it. We just assume away any potential difficulties that might arise. So I think we should be taking right actions from the Buddhist perspective and not be too attached to the outcome. Because I think the outcome is, to quote Jason Box, we're fucked. But I think we always have been. Right? Birth is a sexually transmitted disease that is proven lethal in every case. So you know you're going to die. From the time you're 11, you know you're going to die. I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know. Every species goes extinct. Everyone so far. You think we're so special? course we're going to go extinct. We're so surprised, and yet it was 27 years ago and change that Noel Brown, director of the New York office of the United Nations Environment Program, said governments have a 10-year window of opportunity to solve the greenhouse effect. 10 years, 27 years ago, that means we're 17 years or so too late. Before he says it goes beyond human control. I think what he's referring to here is the self-reinforcing feedback loops. The snowball that gets rolling down the hill, and the faster it goes, the more snow it picks up, and the more snow it picks up, the bigger it becomes, and so the more mass it's carrying down the hill, so the faster it goes. That's where we are at this point. And secondly, that could lead to extensive ecosystem damage. The United Nations Advisory Group on Greenhouse Gases gets it. They know that we're human animals. Rapid, unpredictable, and nonlinear responses. That's self-reinforcing feedback loops. That's the snowball rolling down the hill. That's methane release into the atmosphere. That's methane coming out of the permafrost. That's methane coming out of the Arctic's shallow seabed. And 5 dozen more. Ultimately, I suspect loss of habitat will underlie human extinction, as it does for almost every other species on the planet. And almost all species go extinct because they lose habitat. And that we depend upon habitat just like other animals do. And without that habitat, without ecosystems that support us, we don't survive.